A few years ago, somebody tried to sell me my own bike. Rickham. A few years ago I was a cycle courier for a food delivery company and was also fairly well known with the other riders as suggestions who would fix-botch their bikes for the cost of parts only and would get them parts cheap where I could. Though a lot of people would try and avoid paying me the cost of the parts. Anyway, there was one guy who had 2 kids and his girlfriend wasn't working as she was pregnant with his third. He was using a bike lock that cost £1 and was so rubbish these locks can be snapped by giving them a good tug. Since that's not suitable security when your bike is your livelihood and I was upgrading my lock, I decided to give him my old one, which was a D-lock worth about £20. A month later, his bike got stolen whilst it was locked up and he kept mentioning that I had given him the lock. At this point his third child was due any day and he had no way of earning as he didn't have a bike. He asked to borrow one of mine, but due to the value of my bikes, the cheapest one was £700 new, I wasn't willing to lend him one. However, I had seen an old Raleigh bike on Gumtree for £70 and came up with a deal. I would buy it outright for him and he could pay me back £10 a week. The job paid weekly and average earnings was about 10 an hour. He was working 30 or so hours a week, coupled with another £30 I'd lent him for bills. That's £10 a week for 10 weeks. I had a look at the bike, bought it and gave it a service. So it was an almost 30-year-old bike but in fantastic condition, and that model of bike is very well known for how robust it is. It only needed some new cables which I swapped for him. Everything else was spot on. I quite liked the bike myself, so when I gave it to him I asked him to let me know if he was going to sell it and I would buy it back. 2 days later, he texted me with a long list of things that were broken on it and needed replacing, including things that you wouldn't get on a 30-year-old bike. I knew it was bullshit and he was just complaining because it was old. CB, hey, the bike is shit, it needs, long list, fixing, so I'm selling it, but I know you said you might buy it from me, so let me know or I'm putting it up for sale. Me, that's strange, I checked all that the other day and it was absolutely perfect. I'll be surprised if that's broken already, but yeah, I'll have it back. Meet me attach, X o'clock, at location Y. CB, okay. Are you bringing cash or do you want to transfer me the money? I'm asking £100 for it. Me, are you serious? You can't charge me for it. You haven't paid me for the bike yet. It's technically still my bike and I only paid £70 for it, so no, I'm not paying you anything. If you don't want the bike you can give me it back and buy one with your own money. I'm not lending you cash. CB, I'll just sell it online then. That went on for a little longer, but as he couldn't avoid me, I got the bike back the following day. Nothing was broken on it and I kept it for a year before selling it to a friend. That bike is now well over 30 years old and is all original except for tires, brake pads, and one replacement wheel. Oh, and when he returned the bike he had the lock with him. The one I gave him. I mentioned that I thought the thieves had cut it. Nope. He admitted that when his bike got stolen he had been using the £1 lock because the one I gave him was too heavy. But instead he had gone round saying it was my fault his bike got stolen because I'd given him a faulty lock. I never did get my other £30 cash back though. A couple of months later I found out that he was telling people it was my fault he was out of work because he couldn't be a cycle courier as he didn't have a bike.